Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really plunging headfirst into some fascinating source material that you, our listener, shared with us. It's a detailed report called Brainwave States, Unlocking Mental Potential.
That's right. And our mission here, you could say, is to unpack what these brainwaves actually are, what they tell us about, our mental states as they shift and change, and maybe most importantly, how understanding them might offer a genuine shortcut to better focus, maybe more creativity, and yeah, just better overall well-being, dialing down stress, that kind of thing.
Okay, let's dig into this because the core idea from the report is, well, it's kind of mind-bending, isn't it? It's suggesting your brain isn't just static.
Not at all.
It's humming with these electrical patterns, these frequencies that change depending on what state you're in. And the really cool part, we can apparently measure and understand them.
Precisely. You can think of it like your brain is this huge network of neurons all talking to each other. And that conversation, it generates tiny electrical impulses. When billions of neurons fire together in sync, they create these larger, recognizable patterns. And those are the brainwaves.
Right, and the report says we can sort these patterns, kind of like different radio stations,
Yeah.
based on their speed, their frequency, which is measured in hertz.
Exactly. The report lays out 5 main frequency bands. Each one is linked to pretty distinct states of consciousness and mental functions. It's like a whole spectrum of brain activity.
Okay, so starting at the slow end,
Yeah.
the report mentions delta waves first.
Yes, delta. They operate in that really slow range, zero point 0.5 to 4 hertz. This is the signature of deep, dreamless sleep.
All right.
And the key insight here is that this isn't just the brain being off. It's actually deeply involved in physical restoration, unconscious healing processes, real fundamental repair work happening beneath conscious awareness.
Okay, deep repair, got it. So what's the next step up in frequency?
Just above delta, we get theta waves, running from about 4 to 8 hertz. Now, these tend to show up during deep relaxation, meditation, maybe light sleep, that drowsy state. And this state is often linked with creativity, accessing deeper memories, those flashes of subconscious insight. It's where you might be processing things just below the surface.
Okay. The report connects theta to that sort of fertile ground for ideas, accessing the subconscious. That makes sense. And then we move into alpha.
Alpha waves, yeah. They're in the 8 to 13 hertz range. This is more like calm wakefulness, a sort of relaxed alertness. You're awake, you're aware, but you're not like intensely focused on a task.
Right.
It's often associated with being in the flow, maybe daydreaming, or just kind of passive awareness. It acts like a bridge, really,
Yeah.
between the internal world of theta and the external focus of beta.
And beta.
Yeah.
That's the one we probably spend a lot of our waking day in, right?
Yeah.
Doing stuff.
Most likely, yes. Beta's faster, 13 to 30 hertz. And the report actually calls it the engine of focus. This is your state for active thinking, problem solving, concentrating, getting tasks done, making decisions. It's crucial for productivity.
But the report included a really important warning about beta too, didn't it?
It absolutely did, a very crucial one. While beta is vital for focus, excessive beta activity, especially in the higher end of that range, is strongly correlated with stress, anxiety, and it can even contribute to insomnia. Being stuck in that higher beta state for too long without breaks leads to mental fatigue, burnout.
So it's not just about more focus being better.
Exactly. The type of beta matters, and finding balance is key. You can't just be on all the time.
That's a really critical point. The state of focus can easily become the state of stress if it's overdone. Okay, so moving up to the fastest waves mentioned, gamma.
Right, gamma waves. These are the really fast ones, often cited as 30 hertz and up, sometimes over 100 hertz. The report labels this the peak of intelligence.
Peak of intelligence, wow.
Yeah, it's associated with high-level cognitive functioning, processing information incredibly rapidly, integrating ideas from different brain areas, and those sudden aha moments, real flashes of insight.
And the report mentioned these gamma bursts are often seen in people like experienced meditators.
Yes, that's a fascinating finding. It suggests a link between, let's say, advanced mental training or discipline and the brain's capacity to synthesize information very quickly, very holistically. It's like the brain operating at its absolute peak processing speed.
What really jumps out, though, from reading this report is the emphasis that your brain isn't just parked in one of these states. It's constantly shifting.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
fundamental. These aren't rigid boxes you're locked into. Your brain dynamically shifts which frequency is dominant all day long, even moment by moment. It depends on what you're doing, your environment, your internal state.
So the report gave examples like shifting from work mode, which is probably high beta,
Right.
to trying to relax in the evening. That would involve moving towards alpha dominance.
Exactly. Or say when you first wake up, you might move from theta or alpha up into beta as you become more alert and engaged with the world.
And maybe if you get into a really deep creative flow state or you're intensely solving a complex problem, you might see shifts from alpha or beta up into those gamma bursts.
Precisely. It paints this picture of a really fluid, adaptable mental landscape, not fixed at all.
Which, naturally, leads to the question the report tackles. How do we even know all this? How can we possibly measure these invisible electrical waves?
Yeah, good question. And that's where electroencephalography, or EEG, comes into the picture. The report explains this is the technology that lets us effectively listen in on the brain's electrical activity.
Okay, EEG, so what does it actually do?
Well, essentially, it uses sensors placed on the scalp to record those collective electrical signals. It's not reading individual neurons, that's way too small. It's picking up the combined hum or the dominant pattern of activity from large populations of neurons firing together in different brain regions.
And the report says this EEG data is used for quite a range of things.
Oh, definitely. It's vital for things like monitoring sleep stages and sleep labs, seeing those shifts from light sleep to deep delta sleep. It's also used in diagnosing certain neurological conditions by looking for abnormal brainwave patterns. And really interestingly, it's the basis for training techniques like neurofeedback.
Ah, neurofeedback. We'll get to that.
Yeah, helping people learn to regulate their own brain states. Plus, researchers use it to see how different brain areas synchronize or communicate while someone performs a specific task.
Okay, so we've got the basics, what brainwaves are, the different states or speeds, and how EEG lets us measure them. But here's where it gets really practical, right? The report connects this science directly back to you, the listener. How can understanding all this actually help someone in their day-to-day life?
Right. This is where it gets really interesting and, frankly, potentially useful. The report takes these brainwave concepts and maps them onto real-world scenarios. It suggests which states might be desirable for certain activities and, crucially, offers techniques to help you nudge your brain in that direction. It's like learning to tune that radio we mentioned earlier.
So for example, if you're trying to study hard or really focus on a work project, the report suggests aiming for beta and maybe even gamma states.
Exactly. You need that active, focused energy. And the techniques mentioned, some are pretty common, like using caffeine, which is known to boost beta activity.
Okay.
Others involve structuring your work, like the Pomodoro technique, which helps manage that beta fatigue by building in breaks. And then there are things like listening to specific types of binaural beats, which some people find helps encourage those higher frequencies, though the science on that is still developing.
Right. And then on the flip side, when you need to wind down, relax, maybe prepare for sleep.
Then the target shifts. You're aiming for more alpha, theta, or ultimately delta for sleep. The report points towards practices like meditation, which has a lot of evidence showing it increases alpha and theta activity. Also things like specific breathing exercises and just good old-fashioned sleep hygiene, dark room, cool temperature, regular schedule to help the brain naturally descend into those slow delta waves for restorative sleep.
Okay, that makes sense. What about creativity? Like if you need to brainstorm or come up with new ideas?
That often seems to involve a mix. Maybe moving into a relaxed alpha state to quiet the inner critic and be more receptive, potentially combined with bursts of gamma for those sudden insights or connections.
So what techniques did the report suggest for that?
Things like visualization exercises, maybe unstructured free writing where you just let ideas flow, or listening to certain types of ambient music. The idea is to quiet down that analytical beta mind and let the other frequencies come through more easily.
It even mentioned using these states for deeper work, like emotional healing.
Yeah, it touched on that, suggesting that accessing theta and delta states might be beneficial for processing deeper emotional material. It mentioned techniques like guided imagery, certain deep meditation practices, and even referenced therapies like EMDR, where some research suggests brain state shifts might be part of the mechanism. Though that's a complex area.
It definitely sounds like the report is pushing towards this idea that you can actually train yourself to shift between these states more intentionally.
Absolutely. That's presented as a really exciting frontier. The report talks quite a bit about the rise of brainwave training technologies. Neurofeedback devices are probably the main example right now.
Right, those headbands you can buy.
Exactly. Devices like Muse or NeuroSky, they use simple EEG sensors to measure your brain activity in real time.
So they tell you what your brain is doing right then and there.
Pretty much. They give you feedback, maybe sounds that get calmer as you generate more alpha, or visuals that get clearer as you focus in beta.
I see.
This real-time feedback loop allows you to consciously learn what it feels like to be in a certain state, and then practice generating that state more deliberately. It's like giving your brain a mirror so it can learn to adjust itself.
And the report mentioned EEG being used in games too, and even brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs.
Yeah, taking the concept even further, there are EEG-based games being developed where you might control aspects of the game with your level of attention, your beta waves, or your state of calm, your alpha waves. It turns brain training into something more engaging.
Hmm.
And BCIs, well, that's the cutting edge. The goal there is eventually to allow people to control external devices, computers, maybe even prosthetic limbs, just by intending to generate specific brainwave patterns. The report really paints a picture of a future where consciously shifting your mental state could become an everyday skill, like, learning to manage your posture or breathing.
So as we bring this deep dive towards a close, the report's main takeaway message seems really powerful. It calls brainwaves the fingerprints of consciousness.
That's a great phrase, isn't it? A direct, measurable reflection of our inner state at any given moment.
And the implication is, by understanding these fingerprints, by learning to maybe influence these frequencies, the report suggests you gain a real pathway to optimizing, well, almost everything.
Yeah, maximizing productivity, reducing that harmful upper beta stress, deepening meditation practices, unlocking more creative potential. It touches on a lot.
It really hammers home that line it included.
Yeah.
Your mind runs on frequencies. When you learn to tune the signal, you gain control over your inner experience and outer performance.
It's a compelling idea, makes you think differently about what's going on inside your own head.
Definitely. It reminds me of that Emily Dickinson quote the report also used. The brain is wider than the sky. So much potential, so much complexity packed into those electrical rhythms.
Indeed, a vast inner landscape.
So maybe a final thought for you to consider based on all this, thinking about your brain waves as these tunable signals that shape your inner experience and outer performance. What aspect of your mental or emotional state would you most want to intentionally shift today? Maybe it's dialing up focus, maybe dialing down stress, perhaps accessing more creativity. And based on the techniques we touched on from the report, what one small step could you maybe take to just start tuning that signal, even just a little bit?